Let me take you inside one of New York City's darkest weeks, a story that isn't just about crime or punishment, but about what happens behind bars, out of the public eye. Over the last week of August 2025, 4 people died while in the custody of the New York City Department of Correction. 4 lives gone. I know, true crime fans, you're used to hearing about what happens before someone ends up in jail. But what about after? Let's start with the facts. On Sunday, August 31st, Michael Torres, only 36 years old, was found unresponsive in his cell at the George R. Vierno Center on Rikers Island. Medical staff tried to save him, but it was too late. He'd been held since July on charges of burglary and stolen property, nothing that should have been a death sentence. His death is still under investigation. But Michael Torres wasn't the only one. Just the day before, Jimmy Avila, who'd arrived at Rikers less than 24 hours earlier, also died in custody. Jimmy had serious mental health issues, and his lawyers say the system failed him. Intake staff didn't flag him for close observation, despite all the warning signs. And that's not all. Another detainee died in his cell just days earlier, and a 4th person died in police custody outside of Rikers, all in that same chilling week. 4 deaths. Now, step back and look at the bigger picture. 9 people died in custody in 2024, 13 in 2023. This year, it's already 4, and it's only September. Organizations like the Legal Aid Society are calling this a humanitarian crisis. They say Rikers Island is plagued by unsafe conditions, staff shortages, violence, and especially a lack of care for people struggling with mental illness. It gets worse. There's a plan to close Rikers by 2027, but at this rate, the city is facing a possible federal takeover if things don't change, and fast. Then there's James Mossady, a separate but equally haunting story. James was homeless, had bipolar and borderline personality disorder, and had spent time in correction department custody. In late August, just after being discharged from the hospital, he was struck and dragged for over a mile by a hit-and-run driver in Manhattan. He didn't survive. James's family is crying out for justice, highlighting how vulnerable people with mental health issues are, not just inside the system, but outside as well. So, what's the takeaway? These aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a crisis that's been simmering for years. Behind every headline, there's a real person, a life cut short, a family left shattered. If you're looking for answers, you're not alone. The city has promised change, but for so many, it's coming far too late. I'll keep following this story, because true crime isn't just about the crimes that get you locked up. Sometimes it's what happens after the cell door closes that's the real tragedy.